Hello my friends and neighbors, welcome back to NH Fly Guy. Today I want to talk about your mission in aviation and why it's important to have one. Whether you're starting out your flying lessons or you're further on into your flight training, it's important to have a mission. Knowing where you're going means knowing why you're spending all this money, because flying is expensive. Whether you're just taking lessons or you actually own your own airplane, it's expensive. Trust me. When you get to the point where you consider buying your own airplane, whether that's buying an old used beater or a brand new airplane, or building your own airplane, it's even more important to know what your mission is so that you choose the right aircraft. Buying an airplane is such a commitment and a large expense, especially over time, that it's important to make the right choice. And making the right choice when buying an airplane is directly linked to what your mission is. My mission goes something like this right now. Now your mission can change, but right now, my mission starts with the flexibility to fly. Flying where I want, within reason, when I want, weather permitting, is really important to me. Most flight schools also rent aircraft, and you can't just go rent their airplane and take it away for a weekend because they're making money with that plane teaching students. Some other FBOs have just aircraft for rent that you can make an arrangement to take for longer periods of time, but even that's a hassle and it's an extra added expense. So being able to fly wherever I want, whenever I want is really important to me, especially when my kids are grown. My wife and I can just pick up and go and fly off wherever we want. Let's say we want to go fly to the vineyard for the weekend. Weather permitting, we can do that. We own our own airplane, we can go, we can do up a quick flight plan, we can hop on the plane and take off from one airport and land at another one, and we're at the vineyard. Boom, shoot off to our Airbnb. Sounds really relaxing. Now if we want to do that in the car, not only do we have to sit in traffic, we got to go drive down to the Cape, and then we got to pick up the ferry at the right time. We got to go get tickets. We got to get on the ferry. We got to go, and you know what? If that's your adventure, then great. But this is my mission in aviation, and directly linked to that mission is being able to do something like this. Being able to skip the traffic, being able to skip the steps in between, hop on our plane, and go fly out to the vineyard, go hit our Airbnb for the weekend. And you know what? If the weather comes in and we get stuck there for an extra few days, oh well. Seriously, there could be worse things in life. My wife and I like to explore, and we like to go to new places, which is kind of hard to do when you have kids, but this is thinking about when our kids are grown, we can hop on our plane and we can go travel out west. We can start an adventure over several days that leads us to some really cool airports along the way. There are some airports out there, little airports, that have bed and breakfast services, that have other really cool things to go and do and see. And there's just a lot of fly-in events. And if you're into aviation like I am, and you really love airplanes, then flying to all these things is so much better than driving. It just adds to the excitement. So that's an important part to my mission, including my wife, because we're best friends and we love hanging out, and which is why we got married, and having adventures later on in life when we can afford to. Another part of my mission that's really important to me, that's a part of my life that I've always wanted to include in my love for aviation, is some sort of charity or humanitarian work, some way that we can help other people. Whether that's flying kids to their cancer treatments or providing relief aid for natural disasters like hurricanes or whatnot. It's really important for us. Now, the airplane that I'm looking at is some kind of a single engine airplane, because that's what I'll be able to afford. And so flying supplies into a natural disaster will be limited, you know, by a single engine airplane, but it could still happen. There are still important supplies that aren't huge or extremely heavy that you can be an important part for, or maybe it's flying medical personnel into a quick pop-up clinic in the middle of a disaster area. Those are all really cool things to consider, and things that I'll be considering when it comes to purchasing my first airplane a few years down the road. Another thing that's important to consider in my mission is future training. Now, by the time I get to own my own airplane, most likely I'll already be instrument rated. I'll probably even already have my commercial rating, and you know what, probably be an instructor by then, because it's gonna be a few years. One of the things that I want to do with my aviation is have a little bit of a career. Definitely teaching, because I enjoy teaching in other areas in my life. Another facet, and the last thing that I want to talk about that's really important to me, something that I've always wanted to do, and I did a little video on it a little while ago last week, is the experience of building my own plane. I love to build things. I like to figure things out and put things together. And since I was a kid, I've wanted to build my own airplane. Now, in the past 30 years, since I first started looking at this, the kinds of airplane kits available have drastically increased. And the ability that you have to build your own traditional 4-seat, cruise at altitude, point A to point B at 200 knots, it is dramatically increased. There's so many options out there, which actually makes it a little harder to choose. That I really like the idea of knowing every in and out of my airplane, down to the nuts and bolts, and also having something that's tailored to my specific needs and brand new. Aircraft maintenance can be such an unknown thing. And it can still be unknown with a brand new plane, but less so. When you build your own aircraft, you trim down a lot of that liability and you end up with something that's hopefully, ideally, very reliable that you can enjoy for the rest of your life. Or if your mission changes, you can sell it, and then you know what? You get to build another plane, which may not be a bad idea. Maybe I'll like building planes so much that I just start building them and selling them out back in a garage that I also haven't built yet. Anyway, leave me a comment and tell me about your mission in aviation, and let's get some discussion going.